Welcome students of Thakur Vidya Mandir High School and Junior College. Chapter 9 Control and Coordination. So today let us continue with the part 5 of the chapter. In my last lecture we had studied about the central nervous system and we have also started studying the human brain. We have also studied the three types of human brain, that is the forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. We have started with the forebrain and also we have started with the cerebrum. So today we will be studying about the functional areas of cerebrum. We will be studying about diencephalon, which are the part of the forebrain, and also we will be studying about the midbrain. Let us start with functional areas of cerebrum. In my last lecture, we have been studying about cerebrum, so we know that it acquires almost 85% of the total brain. So it has n number of functional areas and n number of functions to perform. So let us see what are those. Functional areas of cerebrum. Frontal lobe. Now they have motor area which controls voluntary motor activities or movement of muscles. Now if I'm talking about voluntary activities, that means the activities which we are aware of. So here who is controlling in the cerebrum, that is the frontal lobe. It controls the voluntary activities or the movement of muscles. Next is the premotor area, or you can say the autonomous nervous system, that is the ANS. They control the involuntary movements. Now involuntary movements which they are the movements where we don't have any sort of control, for example the heartbeat, the respiration or the digestion, circulation. So these are the involuntary movements which we don't have control. So who is controlling? The autonomous nervous system and the premotor area of cerebrum. Premotor area of cerebrum, it is controlling the involuntary movements of the body. Next is the association area. Now this area, it is for the coordination between the sensation and movements. Now for example, if our body is coming in contact with any hot object, so our body, it gets sensation, and what will be the movement, so that is done in the association area. Next is Broca's area, that is motor speech area. Now here we all know that motor speech area, so what it is doing, it is translating the thought into speech. So whatever we think, whatever is there in our mind, we can actually speak it up. That is because of Broca's area. So expression of emotions, intelligence, willpower, memory, personality area, these are all located in the frontal lobe. So this place of emotions, where actually our thought, it can be converted into speech. Our emotions, our intelligence, our willpower, memory, personality areas, these are all located in the frontal lobe. Next is the parietal lobes. So there are mainly for somaesthetic sensation of pain, pressure, temperature, taste. So here what we can actually sense in parietal lobes is pain, pressure, temperature and taste. In the temporal lobes, it centers for smell, that is the olfactory, hearing, that is the auditory, speech and emotions in the temporal lobes. And occipital lobes, they have visual area mainly for sense of vision. So here the four lobes, if I'm talking about, that is first is the frontal lobe. So frontal lobe, number one, it controls voluntary activities as well as involuntary movements along with the coordination with the autonomous nervous system. It also, the frontal lobe, it consists of association area for coordination between sensation and movement. The frontal lobe, it also consists of Broca's area, which helps in translation of thought into speech. Next, after the frontal lobe, next is the parietal lobe. So these are mainly for sensation of pain, pressure, temperature. The temporal lobe, it contains centers for smell and hearing, speech and emotions. And occipital lobes, they have visual area mainly for sense of vision. So these are the four lobes which consist of different functions of the cerebrum. So talking about the functional areas of cerebrum, we know that cerebrum, it consists of four lobes, that is the frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal. So all these four lobes, they have different functions which we have studied. So if the red region you can see, that is the frontal lobe. So it has n number of activities. It consists of Broca's area. So here what actually generally it works on memorizing, recalling, management, task management, working on memory, how to solve the problem, how to solve any task. So all these activities, how to bring thoughts into speech, so how to convert it. So every that activity which is related to your memory, it is taking place in the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Next, when we are coming to vision, so your primary visual cortex and visual association area, that are the actually for these are the lobes for vision, and it comes under occipital. Now your hearing, it comes under temporal lobe. So in hearing we have auditory association area and primary auditory area. So here this hearing lobe is for the temporal, vision is for occipital, and here you can see the parietal lobe which actually have that taste and all the somatic sensation, so that is controlled by the parietal lobe. So here the different lobes, they are controlling different activities which actually our body it possesses. So what you all have to do is you have to just write the name of the lobes and also what function it is carrying out. And for your information, where it is located, I have just mentioned here, just you have to go through it. Functional areas of cerebrum. So the area of contact between temporal, parietal and occipital lobes is center for Wernicke's area or intelligence center. So the area where actually the temporal, parietal and occipital lobe, they actually come in contact, that is called intelligence center. Now it helps in understanding of spoken and written words. Now how do you understand what the other person is saying or speaking, or what the other person has written or what you are writing? So actually it helps this intelligence center, it helps in the understanding of all the spoken and written words. Now the cerebrum, it shows all three types of areas: sensory, motor and association area. So cerebrum, it is showing actually almost, because as it is occupying the maximum area, so it is showing almost all the types of areas of sensory, motor and association area. Now here basal nuclei and basal ganglia are gray masses which is present within the white matter or lying on the lateral sides of thalamus. Now here the basal ganglia or nuclei of cerebrum, they receive neurotransmitters from various parts. So neurotransmitters, we know the impulses. So what there is, this cerebrum, the nuclei of cerebrum, it receives neurotransmitters from various parts. Now they help the cortex in the execution of activities at the subconscious level, example writing slow or rapid writing. So when you know that where at what place you need to write slow, you can write with ease, and at what time you need, while you're writing an exam, you know the last few minutes you have to just write very fast, you have to develop that rapid typing. So all this is controlled, this neurotransmitter is controlled, and this neurotransmitters, they send the messages, and this is controlled by the intelligence center. And corpus striatum, that is at the floor of cerebrum, and it is the largest basal nucleus. So this is the functional areas of cerebrum. Now we will be studying about diencephalon. Diencephalon, so as you can see in the diagram, the location of diencephalon, it is part of the forebrain along with the cerebrum. So diencephalon, it is the part of the forebrain that it contains the epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. So diencephalon, it consists of epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. You can see the location in the diagram. The purple color, it indicates the diencephalon. Now it lies below the corpus callosum and above the midbrain. So as you can see the midbrain, so it just lies above the midbrain. The green color which you can see, the green color is the midbrain, and above the green color, the purple color part is the diencephalon. Now it encloses a single cavity which is termed as third ventricle, and which communicates with the two lateral ventricles of cerebrum through a narrow opening called foramen of Monro. Now this foramen of Monro, it is a opening through which diencephalon actually it communicates with the two lateral ventricles of the cerebrum. As cerebrum, it is performing n number of functions, so this diencephalon, it helps in the performance of different functions, and it contacts by the foramen of Monro. When we are talking about diencephalon, so we know that diencephalon, it consists of three parts, that is epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus. Now what are this? Epithalamus and hypothalamus. The epithalamus, it is the thin non-nervous roof of the diencephalon. Hypothalamus, it forms the floor of the diencephalon. Now it is richly supplied with blood vessels, and it helps in feedback mechanisms for hormonal control. It maintains homeostasis, internal equilibrium of the body, and involuntary behavior is also controlled by this diencephalon, that is the hypothalamus of the diencephalon. Let us concentrate on functions of diencephalon. So as we know that diencephalon, it consists of epithalamus, thalamus and hypothalamus, and hypothalamus is a link between the nervous and the endocrine system. So actually this hypothalamus and the of the diencephalon, it has high centers for endocrine system. It regulates heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, body temperature, water and electrolyte balance. So actually regulation of heart rate, respiration, blood pressure is all related to your life. So it is one of the most important part of the diencephalon. Now it has centers for hunger, thirst, sleep, fatigue, satiety, center, secretion of glands of stomach and intestine. It also produces neurohormones that stimulate the pituitary gland. A complex neuronal circuit called the limbic system is formed by the hypothalamus and parts of epithalamus and thalamus. Now the floor of the hypothalamus, it continues as a downward projection called hypocele stalk or infundibulum, which connects it to the hypophysis, that is the pituitary gland, both physically and functionally. The inferior surface of hypothalamus also bears the optic chiasma, that is crossing of the two optic nerve, and a pair of mammillary bodies. So in short, the function of diencephalon is number 1, to control the heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, temperature and water balance of the body. It also has the center for hunger, thirst, sleep. It is also used for the production of neurohormones. Actually diencephalon, its important function is to activate or stimulate the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland, it is stimulated by the diencephalon. Now here is the complex of neuronal circuit, which is the limbic system, and it is formed by hypothalamus. So this areas, the limbic system, it is responsible for emotional reactions, motivational drives and memory. So this hypothalamus, which consists of this neuronal circuit, that is the limbic system, it is responsible for emotional reactions, motivational drives and memory. And also the main function is the activation of the pituitary gland, and actually it coordinates in the functioning of the neurotransmitters, so that the pituitary gland, it is functionally and physically active, so that it can coordinate with the neurotransmitters. After the forebrain, now let us study about the midbrain. Midbrain, so it is located between diencephalon and the pons varolii. The corpora quadrigemina are 4 rounded elevations on the dorsal surface of the midbrain. The 2 superior colliculi are involved in visual reflexes, and 2 inferior colliculi are relay centers for auditory reflexes. So here the midbrain, it is responsible for actually visual reflexes and the auditory reflexes. These are the functions of the midbrain that operate when it is necessary to move the head to hear sounds more distinctly. So midbrain is located between diencephalon and pons varolii, and corpora quadrigemina are 4 rounded elevations on the dorsal surface of the midbrain. 2 superior colliculi are involved in visual reflexes and 2 in the auditory reflexes. Talking about the functions of midbrain, it plays an important role in controlling posture. So either you're sitting, either you're standing, whatever posture your body it has, it is controlled by the midbrain, and also the muscle tone. Next is modifying activities, some motor activities and some motor coordination. So all the motor activities which is going on in the body along with the coordination, that is also controlled by the midbrain. Hence midbrain also plays very important part in the functioning of your nervous system. So students, I hope you all must have understood the functional areas of cerebrum. Now that is very important part of this chapter. You should know the functional areas of cerebrum along with the 4 lobes of cerebrum. We have also studied about diencephalon and its function, and midbrain and its function. So I just want you all to just go through this part of the chapter and do the assignment. Thank you.